Hey guys, okay, so this video is not going to be as detailed as it should be because Professor Griff has a wealth, and when I say a wealth of information. So what I'm going to do is the videos that he's talking about a lot of the things that go on into the industry and just so many more educational videos. I'm going to link some videos down below if you care to follow it. But I basically was introduced to Professor Griff, I want to say like about 7 years ago, not like actually introduced to him, but just listening to videos on YouTube. I was working at like this call center job and they allowed us to listen to videos on our phone. And I was listening to a bunch of videos on Vlad TV and interviews. And this is when Professor Griff was doing an interview about his, when he broke out of, or I guess when he separated from Public Enemy. And so this is not really my era. So I know that Professor Griff, Public Enemy, Flav, that is a very significant part of hip hop. They're legends. Professor Griff is an icon. And I know that they had a lot to do with paving the way when it comes to hip hop. Professor Griff talked about his, when he separated from the group, and I think Chuck D had something to do with it. I really couldn't sit back and listen to hours of these videos again. But the reason why he was like a favorite to me is a story that he told about, I guess they had to do some type of meeting. They were waiting on Flav, and he went to go find Flav. At the time, Flav was addicted to drugs. He was addicted to crack. And trying to talk to Flav, he's telling somebody he doesn't know why Flav doesn't want to talk to him. But it turns out that long story short, he kicked Flav in the chest. But he's laughing and he's like, oh, I didn't really kick him in the chest. Flav had like this boom box and he was trying to kick the boom box. And instead, he kicked him in the chest. And he was like, yeah, I don't know why. And I just thought that was so funny. And I don't know how tall he is, but it seems to me like he's like, kind of short. And just the feisty, the energy, the masculinity, the way he stands up for himself. He's very firm. He's very disciplined. And he seemed to be very straightforward. He also almost gives like an energy of Tupac as well, where it just gives like they have standards about themselves. And it just, I don't know, it just aligns with somebody who has principles. So that's the reason why I fell in love with Professor Griff. I believe everything that he says. And I think it's more so somebody like him who I would sit down and listen to the things that they say about the industry rather than a Jaguar, Wright? Because they bring integrity to the conversation. They're not just talking to talk. And it's from experience, and he's put the work in, and he carried himself a certain way. He was in the Black Army, he said. And even when he's fighting for something, I remember there was another interview where he talked about, I don't know why they don't want to talk. This guy, like, he'll fight. He'll fight for whatever it is he believes in. So he's like, I don't know why, it would have never been anything. You know what I'm saying? We would have just got down, me and 20 other guys. So it's just like, he's just a no nonsense. And you can tell that he's speaking his truth. So I feel like he's the definition of stand for something, or what is it? Stand for something or fall for anything. Yeah. So, I just wanted to say that he has been exposing a lot of the things that have been going on in the industry for years now. Now we see the downfall of Diddy. Back then when I did watch those videos, that's the reason why I started going down like this rabbit hole, because he was exposing so many things and I believed him. And he talks about everything. He talks about his success. He talks about his pitfalls. So it's very believable. He talks about what he stands for, where he fell short. I mean, he just talks about everything. It's just so believable. Anyway, he talked about how Tupac was approached by Quincy Jones. Now, Quincy Jones would have been Tupac's, I guess, father-in-law, because that's Kidada Jones's daughter. I'm sorry, Kidada Jones' father. And this guy, Quincy Jones, he said is the one who was responsible for some homosexual, I think he said he called it rituals, right? And there's nothing wrong with being homosexual. He also stated that same thing. But the coercion, this trying to convert as much people as possible, that's where the issue comes in. So he said that Quincy Jones approached Tupac to engage in intercourse with him, and Tupac declined. And he said that's where we see, or started to see, the mark on Tupac, where that's where his life became in danger, and later his demise. And then he also talked about Will Smith. He said he mentioned a lot of names of people in the industry. He even also said Puffy, that Puffy had long been a part of that. And again, there's nothing wrong with that, but I think it was being hidden from the public, right? Because Puffy was actually displaying himself as a person who was into women. And maybe he was into women, maybe he was bisexual, but it was also heavily talked down upon. The homosexual activity was talked down upon in the music, but then behind closed doors, there were other things that were going on. So Professor Griff, I think he is someone that needs to be recognized, because he had long exposed a lot of the things that had been going on in the industry. And I think the reason why he was removed from Public Enemy, from the group, is because he spoke so strongly. He was so no nonsense, and he believed in sticking to his morals and his principles, and that's the reason why he ultimately got kicked out of the culture, in essence. And because he was such an outspoken person, and because he didn't stand for a lot of the things that were going on. So he basically talked about the rituals that he witnessed that were going on in the industry. He also talks about blood sacrifices in hip hop. He alleges that P. Diddy, Dame Dash, Jay-Z, Beyonce, and others were involved in blood sacrifices to their Illuminati handlers. So what do you guys think about that? I just wanted to briefly touch on that, because I need to revisit a lot of this information before actually giving more detail, because it's been a while since I've sat down and listened to a lot of the interviews that he did. But I remember that, and I thought this guy he's very funny, and I like the fact that he stands on business and he stands on his principles. So salute to Professor Griff. Check out some of those videos, because he really talks facts about what he knows in comparison to a Jaguar Wright. I think Jaguar Wright is getting a lot of undue credit and recognition for something that Professor Griff has been saying for a long time. And I think this is where Jaguar Wright pulls a lot of the things that she's getting from credible sources like Professor Griff. These things are already on YouTube. They're already out there. And then she's repeating them as if she was a part of it, and she's not. So what do you guys think? Salute to Professor Griff. Comment down below.